couple of months ago, I made this little video called Sacred Geometry Healing Animation number 11. And this painting was in the background, just begun, but people noticed it somehow, and that got me thinking. So now I'm making this piece based on the process of making mandalas, because people always ask me about that too. They ask me about software. What kind of software do you use to make your mandalas, Charles? And I use this software right up here. This is the software. And the hardware is, this is the hardware. It's a compass and a straight edge. A straight edge and a compass is all you need to make sacred geometric archetypes. It just unfolds all by itself. So I've been making mandalas based on the archetypes and icons of sacred geometry for over 25 years. And my first goal is always to make them beautiful. That's the major goal. But at the same time, they're also connected to empirical realities, to unchanging empirical realities of sacred geometry. So I'm dealing with intuitive, mystical, so-called right brain kinds of stuff, and I'm also dealing with crystalline perfections of the universe, unchanging principles of the universe. Left and right synergy is the goal. So now we're going to talk about this painting, which is called The Map of Time, and this is the way it looked in the video, and then this is the way it looked in successive stages of completion. This is the way it looks. It's somewhere over 300 hours. I don't know how many hours. I lost track. So why would I possibly want to put 300 hours or 400 or however many hours is in this thing? Why would I want to do that? That's the question we're going to answer. So when I make a mandala, it always starts with an idea that's been rolling around in my head for X number of days or years. So this mandala is really a meditation on time and our concepts of dividing it. Both the astrological chart and the face of our 12-hour clock are based on this sacred geometry. To be specific, it traces to the second consecutive circle of nature's first pattern, commonly known as the seed of life. The ever-expanding pattern of this mandala is created by two overlapping versions of nature's first pattern. The radius of the vertical version is set at 1 inch and the radius of the horizontal version is set at 1.73 inches, which is very close to the exact proportions of the Vesica Piscis height versus width. So as I was creating this complicated overlapping grid, I had to constantly check as I developed it outward. I had to constantly check to make sure it was lining up. And if I made a tiny error here, then it would get to be a big error over here. And that gave my left brain, so to speak, something to occupy its energies. And it was a repetitive energy, because I had to keep solving the same problem over and over and over and over, like beads. It's like mantra. So this repetitive mental activity occupies my left brain and leaves my right brain free to gather any information that comes to me. These mandalas always start with a prayer. I ask the universe to teach me about this particular aspect of sacred geometry. And I know that I can be directed to an understanding through this meditative process and this revelatory possibilities of this kind of open-eyed meditation. And I find myself slipping further and further and further, deeper and deeper and deeper into my own inner world, so to speak. And sometimes as a result I find myself floating around on the ceiling watching myself paint like somebody else was pushing the paint around. So of course I have to say something about color. That's the one area that I don't think about. I just feel that completely. It's completely intuitive. What I do is I mix a large palette of colors in small bottles for the specific painting, and then I blend those colors together on a palette as I'm working, and that's where the variation comes from. One of the really beautiful things that I see in this piece, I see in this relationship, is that we have a balancing kind of play between projective and receptive energies. Just like an astrological chart. Projective, receptive, projective, receptive, projective, receptive, all the way around, coming back and starting over again. And so we have this nature's first pattern in yellow going vertically, which is projective. And then we have another nature's first pattern going horizontally, the green one, which is receptive. So this center, conceptually, is everywhere and nowhere beyond time. And that center can move to any part in this grid and it will be the same center. And the same potentials will come out of that same center. And so when you're harmonizing with these kinds of ideas, and when you're actually experiencing something that does transcend time, it's very easy to step over yourself and to get a clear view of where you've been and where you're going. And time has a very strange way of flexing back and forth in the same moment. No matter where you go, there you are, in the same center. The center of the universe. So I think it's really interesting that I intuitively used this painting, the map of time, in that video which was dealing with a healing animation. Because this whole process that I use is very, very healing, and it's ritualized. And many people will say that no healing can happen unless there's ritual involved, some kind of ritual. And in my case, it's the ritual of creating mandala based on the archetypes of sacred geometry. It harmonizes me with these very transcendent universal principles which transcend time and space. They are quantum and they're potent. So how can you make mandalas? You could get a compass, straight edge, start drawing your own circles. You could also go to my website because there's free templates, free mandala templates on my website. You can download them, you can color them. That would be cool. You could also buy one of my prints. That would be real cool. I'd like that. I could eat.